Fallout's world has some really strange things, including a powerful artifact, lost ancient cities, and a theory suggesting that humans came from a precursor civilization of non-humans. And that's just this video. The Rub al Khali, or Empty Quarter, is the largest continuous sand desert on Earth. It is a region said to have bested kings, adventurers, and nomads for thousands of years. It is also rumoured to be the location of Ubar, the Atlantis of the Sands, a mythical city thought to have been destroyed by a natural disaster or as a punishment by God. While the lost city of Ubar has almost certainly been found within our own world, with many experts claiming to have discovered the city in one place or another, in Fallout it continues to be this mythical location, although instead of St John Philby or Thomas Edward Lawrence, who famously hunted for the fabled entrepot, we have Lorenzo Cabot. Lorenzo's theories and efforts to find Ubar were ridiculed by the rest of his field. Even his own son didn't believe him. But Lorenzo was certain of its existence and would stop at nothing to prove it. These theories of his suggested that our oldest known cultures, Sumer, Egypt, Assyria, all shared a common ancestor that originated from a non-human precursor civilization. One which had left traces throughout early human history, traces that could be found at Ubar. And in 1894, Lorenzo and his partner Metternich undertook a secret expedition to the Rub al Khali desert, seeking to uncover the lost city of Ubar and prove to the world that he was right. For many months they toiled the desert without success, but eventually they did discover the entrance to a subterranean structure. Despite many setbacks, including a sandstorm which miraculously reburied the entrance, and continuous tunnel collapses which made excavating the ruins incredibly difficult, they broke through and came across what appeared to be a burial chamber. Lorenzo wasted no time searching the ruins and found tools that no human could use, and a coffin. Inside was a body, although it wasn't human, and it was wearing a strange artifact similar to a crown. For whatever reason, Lorenzo took the crown and placed it upon his own head. Soon after, he started receiving vast knowledge regarding the ancient civilization. Knowing there was more to be discovered, Lorenzo had the site buried to secure the findings until he could return with his family, which is a strange thing to do. Either he wanted to show them that he wasn't crazy, or the artifact had told him to bring them. Either way, Lorenzo headed home, taking with him a variety of findings which can be seen within Cabot House. At first, they marveled at his findings, an artifact which Lorenzo became obsessed with, spending more time with it than his family, who soon realized that the man that had left to prove his theories had been replaced with a stranger. One who was healthier and stronger, one who didn't age, and somehow the crown had given him telekinesis, which terrified them. As for the crown itself, it could no longer be removed without causing him intense physical pain, so he refused to take it off. But the longer he wore it, the more aggressive he became. And at first, this aggression came out around strangers and those who doubted him. But slowly, his anger was redirected towards his family. So they had him confined to the basement of Parsons State Insane Asylum before he could do something they would all regret. It is here Lorenzo has remained for hundreds of years, while his son Jack has studied the artifact, allegedly in the hopes of curing his father, but there does seem to be some doubt as to whether he's using his father to live forever. An early development in Jack's research was the discovery of certain compounds in Lorenzo's blood, from which Jack was able to derive a serum that could halt the aging process. Using this serum, Lorenzo's family has been able to survive long past their natural lifespans, through and well after the Great War. While Jack and the rest of his family try and fix their father, Lorenzo himself despises them for their perceived betrayal and would like nothing more than to gain his freedom and kill them. 4 centuries of being contained in the same room is bound to do that to anyone. Luckily, he's not alone. While he's guarded by mercenaries who watch his every move, Lorenzo has been using the crown to communicate with the precursor civilization. watching their dreams and learning about their history, their culture, and philosophy, though he does not know how or why he can do this, which is a question I will answer in just a moment. One particular insight that Lorenzo was able to learn from the crown was that the place he had discovered wasn't Ubar, nor a temple. Jack reviewed his father's research later in life, coming to the conclusion that his father's theories were correct, meaning mankind had originated from a non-human precursor civilization. But due to physical and mental alterations, Lorenzo is unwilling or unable to reveal Ubar's location, as he's either wanting to keep the secrets for himself or because the artifact is preventing him from telling others. Either way, Jack believes that there are enough clues in his father's findings that a large-scale search for Ubar using aircraft would be successful. But according to the non-human who may be talking to Lorenzo through the crown, what Jack would find wouldn't be Ubar or a temple, so what would he find? If not a temple, which are used for religious worship, then perhaps a research and development station instead. Somewhere prototype technology, such as the artifact, had been tested. And the coffin, which the non-human was inside of, wasn't a coffin, but a cubicle of sorts that monitored their safety while testing said technology. However, that still leaves so many questions unanswered. Why was the non-human unalive? Why are humans unable to use some of their tools, while others, like the artifact, can simply be worn? Firstly, I believe the non-human was uploading their consciousness to the artifact, as Lorenzo talks about viewing their dreams with the crown, and this could be the non-human Lorenzo has been talking to for all these years. For all we know, they could have been the last of their kind, and as such, no one came to claim the body. Secondly, the tools that were not made for human hands aren't that much of a mystery. The reason they can't be used by humans is because they were supposed to be used with telekinesis while wearing the crown. Therefore, they didn't need handles and can't be used by human hands. And lastly, why could Lorenzo wear the crown? What are the chances of the artifact fitting a human head if it wasn't designed for one? Well, my theory is these progenitors, for lack of a better word, created humans in their image, using their own DNA which is used to access the crown, and as such, Lorenzo, and theoretically other humans, can access its powers. And at this point, all I can think of is the engineers from Prometheus, and how they created humans using their own DNA. I get the feeling that this is referencing that, and because of that, I also think the non-humans may look similar to the engineers. Almost human. I know this sounds ridiculous, but bear with me. Just as the engineers have built large statues of themselves and assigned them to important locations, a giant metallic face similar to those created by the engineers can be seen standing or floating behind Lorenzo on his hero card from Fallout Shelter Online. The way the artifact is glowing and the sleepy look on the statue's face implies they are connected, and the artifact has somehow activated the statue and can now use its power. And these faces are seen everywhere in Fallout, on statues, on the sides of buildings, and oddly enough, at Dunwich Borers near Kremp's Tooth, inside the Lucky Hole mine surrounding the Interloper, and beneath Tanagra Town tangled in the mire, a place created with Gek technology. It's interesting to note that all of these statues can be found near eldritch creatures or places of power, but I don't necessarily think they're connected, at least not in an obvious way. At one point in time, I would have said the statue at Dunwich Borers was a sleeping giant whose breathing shakes the very earth, but now I'm beginning to suspect that this specific type of statue isn't alive, but does hold immense power that can be unlocked with the crown. And the reason why this specific statue is shaking the earth is because it's responding to the artifact, which is just down the road at Parsons State Insane Asylum. And as far as I'm aware, this statue is the closest of its kind to the artifact. You'll notice that the other statues, found at the Mass Fusion Building, Mass Pike Tunnel, and Fort Hagen, are further away, and due to this, their connection to the artifact isn't as strong. so we don't notice them shaking with anticipation. Still, that doesn't explain why these statues are found mostly near eldritch creatures and places of power, but my guess would be it all comes down to the power inside the statues. Power which attracts the entities who then feed off of it or try to. And those found on buildings supports the theory that humans were created by a precursor civilization. However, they were still very much alive and in control, influencing modern humans through psychic powers, and they may have told the humans to place these statues in certain locations, as humans can be controlled with the artefact, similar to Lorenzo and Lefty, the raider he recruits using his psychic powers and the promise of more serum, which makes him stronger. For now, Lorenzo remains beneath Parsons, and mercenaries continue to watch his every move. But unbeknownst to them, Lorenzo is working towards his own escape with the aid of Lefty and his group of raiders. While Lorenzo can be killed during this conflict, which Jack understands is the only way for his father to be truly free, he can also be allowed to leave, and the first thing he'll go and do is kill his family. After which, he'll remain at Cabot House and will sometimes be seen in the wasteland standing over dead ghouls. Ghouls he's intentionally killed so he can study their condition. Beyond this encounter, we don't see him do anything else or know where he's going next, but I suspect he'll be heading for the Mojave, as Jack can tell us that his father wasn't just obsessed with Ubar, but also another ancient city somewhere beneath the Mojave. What will Lorenzo do when he gets there? I have no idea. Maybe he will find another artifact or a living non-human who could be connected to the one inside Lorenzo's crown. Could they be searching for a worthy companion, or are they using Lorenzo to deliver the crown? Your guess is as good as mine, but one thing I'm certain of is these statues are somehow involved. Be sure to show your support by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already for more Fallout content. If there's anything you would like to see in another video, leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. With that said, thank you, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.